Welcome to Full Scope, a podcast of two guys in their 20s giving their perspective on the games that we love and the story behind it all. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. How you?
Pretty good. Well, we have a lot of topics to get into tonight as usual, but first of all, Savon, Micah, it was not the same 2 hour podcast with Micah when you weren't there. I don't,
Oh man,
he was greatly distraught about that.
man, I missed that. I'm mad. I missed the podcast last week, man. I had some stuff going on with work,
Mm-hmm.
but hopefully we can get it back on here so we can. It's always a great time with Michael's on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, to start things off, Tennessee in college basketball, they're currently number one. Um, they've won 18 straight and are number one in the country. And, Grant Williams, he's been huge for them so far this year. And their only loss was to Kansas in overtime when Kansas had Udoka Azubuike. And this is a team that they're experienced. They're tough. They have a lot of depth, but they don't have a ton of blue chip type prospects that a team like Duke has. But even with that, Grant Williams and Schofield have been All American candidates for most of the year. But with how this team has played so far this year, what has kind of been your thoughts on them, and how legitimate are they? From what you've seen.
Well, like you said, they don't have a lot of blue chip players like Duke or Kentucky or even Virginia or even Arizona for that matter. Just they play all around basketball from the backcourt to the front court. They have stepped into the odds, but they have a long road ahead. I think they're supposed to be number one. You can show the hard work they've done, but they have Kentucky coming up. They have Vanderbilt coming up. They have South Carolina, who's not a pushover. They have a pretty good season this year. It's a team that it's like, okay, preseason, I didn't have them nowhere near the top 10, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because, Duke stole the show. Zion stole the show. Barrett stole the show. All these guys stole the show. Kentucky still had a kind of, had that muster. But I didn't see Tennessee being number one close to March Madness. It's February. March Madness is right around the corner.
Exactly.
I don't know if they can sustain this energy, this tempo in what's the word I'm looking for? Momentum. There we go. Momentum going into March Madness because they have Kentucky on Saturday.
Wow.
Number 1 and number 5.
Yeah.
But I didn't see them being this.
That's going to be a scintillating matchup.
It will be. I hope so. Kentucky has not been Kentucky for about 3 or 4 years. I think it's because of Duke and because of Arizona, Kansas. I think the matchups and the recruiting is spreading out evenly now these days. And
the road was set up for them the last March Madness, because I think their Sweet 16 matchup. I forgot who they played, but it was a team. I think it was Kansas State, and most people thought, okay, yeah, Kentucky can. They're on a road that they can at least get to the Final Four, and I think they lost in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and look, I'm not going to get to that because I'm so eager about the Final Four this year, or just
you're already eager about it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I really want to see what Duke does. Like, can they redeem themselves in a tournament again? And they lost to Gonzaga in the Maui Invitational.
Yeah,
and I want to see
when they were at full strength.
Full strength. They don't have Trey right now, but they were at full strength and they lost to Gonzaga. So, I love that. I love college basketball because anybody can win. Anybody can beat anybody.
Just takes one bad night.
Yeah, in Tennessee, I don't know if Tennessee can sustain that. They don't, like you said, they don't have that blue chip type players, but they do have an all around team that buys in and want to play team basketball. But you're gonna need some blue chip players down the line.
That's the thing. That's the thing I was about to ask you. How much does that concern you going into March Madness that you don't have that type of high end player as the other blue bloods in college basketball do?
It plays a role, but team basketball beats blue chip players any day. But You do want that guy who can step up and be the guy to lead the team. I don't see anybody on this roster who can do that. I can name all these guys with his roster, and I cannot. They don't compare it to anybody on any other team that is a blue chip player or a player who can step up. None of them even compare to Grayson Allen. You know I do not like Grayson Allen.
Give Grayson Allen some love, man.
I can't. I can't. I can't give him love. I don't want to give him love. You were big on him. I just didn't see it. I just didn't see him as that type of player. But
I'll
everybody
never
says
forget the after their first game last year when he had like 36 against Michigan State, and everybody was like, "Man, Grayson is just he looks phenomenal," and you're like, "Yeah, really wasn't that good of a performance." I mean, he was
it
taking like
wasn't.
bad shots.
He was
Shot
taking
selection was
terrible
off.
shots. He was taking terrible shots. He wasn't finishing at the rim. It was just, I don't know. It was just wasn't a great game. I see what Grayson Allen truly is, and it's showing in the NBA right now. So maybe I'm right. Give
Wow,
me some credit.
Grayson Allen diss
Oh man,
first
it's not a
time.
diss. It's just
A little bit of a slight. A little bit of a slight.
Wellington, come on, man. Do you see any player on this team that can
I
be a
don't.
blue? Like, yeah, like even Grant Williams, Lamont Turner. These
Mhm.
those decent guys. Kyle Alexander is a decent guy. He's a forward, but they're not the guys. Like, okay, if we get to a pickle, we're down maybe 10 points,
Yeah, who are you
three
going to?
minutes. Yeah, who are we going to? And I think that's going to be the headlines for them going into the March Madness. But right now, they deserve to be number one. They're kicking people's butt and they're
Mhm.
playing basketball.
Yeah. Um, how much does the Kentucky game like? Do you think that's going to be because obviously Kentucky they have those type of players? Do you think that like that's going to be obviously it's a pivotal game, but is that a game that is going to be something of like a revealing or maybe a revelation to what this team is really capable of?
I think so. I think for both teams, it'll show what type of a team you are when you face big teams like this, because you're going to see teams like this in the March Madness, and who can step onto the plate. Now you have blue chip players versus organized team basketball, and you're going to see who's going to win. I don't have a clear cut winner. I'm not going to say it, but
Mhm.
the way Tennessee is playing, the way they're playing defense, stopping hands up, active on the defense, I like them over Kentucky, but not by much. I'm not going to say by much, but we all know Kentucky has blue chip players. I want to give everybody some praise. We're not going to name names. We get everybody praise on the Kentucky basketball team because we always single out one or two guys, but we never say everybody who contributes to Kentucky. But the Volunteers has their work cut out. Both teams have their work cut out for them because John knows this is a big game. This
Yes.
is a huge game. John knows that, and he's been saying that all week through press conferences, through practices, to his players. This is a big game, not because we're number 5 and they're number 1, just because one, this is an SEC championship game. I mean SEC game. This counts.
Hmm.
This is a conference game, and it goes to who's going to be number 1 or who's going to be top 4, 3, or whatever. Who's going to be number 1 seed going into the March Madness? But it's going to be a good basketball game.
Yeah. Transitioning to Duke, they had a really good win against Virginia, and
They did.
this this team is probably the most talented team in the country, and they're not a great they haven't been a great shooting team for most of the year, but against Virginia on the road they were able to go 13 of 21 from three, and
Mm-hmm.
you know for outside of the fact that they're going to have three lottery picks, three future lottery picks as their best three players with Reddish and RJ Barrett and Zion. Trey Jones for most of the year has been kind of he's a great defensive point guard and also their floor general, and he's been that for most of the season, even though he went out a bit with the injury. But when they're having the type of shooting nights that they're having, like they had against Virginia, and they're also great defensively. Do you see anybody do you see anybody able to stop this team if they're playing like that type of basketball?
What? Well, no, I don't see anybody
Yeah,
stopping them if they're playing that type of basketball, especially if they're switching well and getting open lanes for themselves like they did in Virginia. That's was the MO, playing good defense and getting driving lanes. That's where they're best. Like you said, they're not that great at shooting. They will
yeah,
get there as a team, but their MO is fast paced, up scheme, up tempo, transitional basketball and getting driving lanes for Zion and RJ to can finish at the rim. That's what they did against Virginia. Virginia did a terrible job doing that. They didn't get all open lanes, but they did do enough to beat Virginia. But if they continue to do that and find the offense outside of just transitional basketball, trying to find lanes and find the shooting consistency and motion of it, nobody's can stop them. I think that's what killed them against Gonzaga. Gonzaga kind of like hindered them from driving the lane, ran a couple 2-3 zones a little bit, and they manned them well, made them shoot, make them try to beat them with their shooting abilities, and we all know what happened. They lost. So if you allow them to get driving lanes, you allow them to transitional basketball, you allow them to do what we're capable of doing, then you're going to lose.
Yeah,
but they played well.
Yeah, and what Gonzaga, I mean, how Gonzaga was able to kind of stop them, and you know, they really were able to play exceptional defense for most of that game against Duke, and then Duke, you know, they made that like I think there was a 12-point deficit in the fourth quarter at one point, and then they rallied back to cut it down to single digits. But do you think that the type of team like Gonzaga, an experienced team that's gritty, that has depth, and also can lock you down defensively, like, is that the blueprint for the team that can beat Duke in March?
I think so. If you look at the blueprint, we just really laid it out, and Gonzaga really laid it out, that they have an Achilles heel is their shooting ability. And there's not that they can't shoot all together, but if you stop them, if you don't create open lane for them and play tight defense, active defense, then you're going to be able to beat Duke, because Duke is not confident in their shooting abilities. Not everybody. I think Barrett is.
He's getting more confident.
He's getting more comfortable. That he knows if he wants to go to the league, that's something he has to work on. Look at Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons understands that he has to work on that. But Barrett's understand that before he gets to the NBA, he has to work on his jump shot, has to work on creating his own shots. Zion needs to do that too. And they find
when your girlfriend is attending a game, Kendall Jenner, you have to you have to take a three.
He's like, oh, this is for babe. He says, that's funny. That's really funny. But yeah, I think Gonzaga kind of laid out the blueprint on how to beat Duke. Don't give them driving lanes. Don't create turnovers where they can create a transitional basketball and finish at the rim. That's Duke. That hasn't been Duke for a while. Normally, Duke is a great shooting team, and they sometimes
were last year.
Yeah, they had the shooters, but this year is a different monster. I love this type of offense that they do. Drive it to the lane. I'm not a big time shooter guy. I don't like seeing shot. I like to see strategic, how we're going to get to the rim. But that's how the game is transitioning. But if you stop them from doing that, you can beat Duke.
So you still hate when Embiid or Towns settles for a three instead of going inside?
That's a good question. I think that's a.
Or do you look at it like, okay, that's what the game is evolving to. That's what fives do now.
It depends. I'm not against big men shooting or the league shooting 3-pointers. If you're wide open, of course, take the shot, or you have a good look, take the shot. But I'd rather see people put the ball down, free throwing shot inside, or finish at the rim. You know, but 3-point shot is what it is. It's what the league is going to. But I also like somebody to put the ball down, shake somebody, be strategic, dish it. Let the big man dunk it down like the old days when Shaq and Kobe was playing, or Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming was playing. Like those, you know, I'm an old school type basketball player. I get into the lane, give me the ball, I'm going to dish it out, I'm going to find the people. I'm going to be LeBron James. But that's what the game is transitioning to, man. And I'm not against it, but, you know, I like to see somebody. That's why I like Zion so much. Zion will put the ball down and finish at the rim with the quickness. That's why I'm big on Zion.
And with Zion, just because, I mean, we've talked about it numerous times. We've never, you know, I'm not going to say never because I don't want to get into like the superlative, but it's rare that we've seen a player like this, you know, in terms of his athleticism, and, you know, that block shot he had against Virginia, you know, it went viral, but like one of the most athletic blocks we've probably, you know, ever seen in recent date in college basketball. But having a player like that is and I'm not saying that you're the most confident in Duke going into the tournament, but because of having a player like that, is that a factor? Does that make you feel like, is this the team you're most confident in pretty much because of Zion?
I would say I'm 75% in, and I don't know if you remember, I said Zion is the leader of that basketball team.
Yeah.
Not by, from tenure, but his abilities to play and his energy on the basketball court. If Zion gets hurt, Duke goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down. I don't wish that on him, but if Zion goes down, that energy on the basketball court goes down.
And he can make reckless plays. Like sometimes he'll go for blocks that, he probably shouldn't go.
Yeah, ill-advised, but that's the type of play. He goes all out for his team. He's been doing that since high school.
Mm-hmm.
I love a player like that. That sacrifice every day for my team. I'm going to do everything in my power to win. And once you have a guy like that, that's why I say he's the clear-cut leader on that basketball team because of his energy, his play. It's commitment to the basketball team and to Duke. That's what you want in a player. I don't see any other player like that on any other basketball team but Zion. Not because he's big name or whatever, but what he does every single time he steps on that basketball court, he goes above and beyond. I don't see that nowhere else.
And it's interesting. Before we move on, and that 2015 that 2015 team that I think had Okafor and
Ooh, that was stacked.
And also I think Justice Winslow as well, and maybe not, but they also had Tyus Jones, and he was like huge in that Wisconsin game. Making he wasn't like the coveted like prospect of that group, but there's another Jones, and it's Trey Jones, and he's been kind of like that floor general and really good defensive point guard, because I think when they lost against Syracuse, he wasn't there, and they were constantly like looking for a big shot. And when they when they played, I believe Texas Tech, he was that guy. At pivotal points in certain junctures in the game, got them that big shot. And even though I definitely would agree, Zion is the leader. Trey Jones also, as it's not as highlighted, but at some points he kind of is the leader of that team to kind of get them a big shot as their floor general.
Oh yeah, I agree too. I agree to that too. But Trey Jones he's out right now, and they kind of rallied around to get that W for Virginia, but it showed that he was missing on the basketball court. It was evident. But when you have those type of guys that are like RJ and Zion, they'll find a way to win. They have a big three without having a big three.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with that.
Transitioning to the NBA, last Thursday, we Philly was no, I actually believe last Wednesday morning, Philly acquired Tobias Harris, and the starting lineup that they had before with Butler was already one of the best in the East, but now adding Tobias Harris, a really good shooter, a capable, just as good of a scorer as any scorer you could compare to in the West, and now bring him over to the East. And this is the type of player, when we saw it in the Boston series, when they took away Simmons, a lot of the load, a ton of the responsibilities was put on Embiid, and now that can be, more rounded out with, Butler and Harris. And this is an all-in type move. Elton Brand has made all-in type moves this year, and he's Harris and Butler could be gone by the summer. I'm not saying both of them are going to leave, but there's no guarantee these guys stick around. And even if Butler leaves, you have Harris around. Like that's a Harris, Embiid, and Simmons is a really good core for the future. And they were able to beat LA by 23 this past Sunday. And Embiid had 37-14, and Harris had 22 points on 64% shooting, 6 rebounds and 6 assists, and they've had a 124.4 offensive rating. And even though it's been a 2-game sample, what were your thoughts on the trade, and also how this puts Philly in for a run this postseason.
I thought it was an excellent move by El Tabrid. These guys who play basketball know basketball, evidently.
Yeah.
And how to get players in there, man. But that was a great move. Tobias, originally from Pistons, and then he went to the Clippers in a trade, Blake Griffin, and then he showed that he can be that guy. His contract is up. He's going to have to. I think they'll give him a big contract or wherever he goes. But acquiring him to assist in the identity struggle still with the 76ers was a great move for this year. I don't know about the other years, next year, the years are on, but this year I think it was a great move. But they look like they played well together, and they beat one of the top teams, Denver Nuggets.
Yeah,
in its
second
first
best
game
team in the West.
Yeah, second best team in the West. And I think if they continue to gel, that five can go the distance, even with old JJ Redick. If Ben Simmons can find that three,
give Redick some respect, man. Give Redick some respect. Two guys I defend on this podcast, Grace. JJ Redick.
All Duke players. Duke is a big Duke fan, man. I used to like Duke back in the day. I used to like JJ Redick when he was at Duke because he was on fire when he shot, at the 3-point line. But I was always a Florida Gators fan. Go Gators. But no, I thought it was a great move, man. And they look like they play together. They look smoother for some reason. And I like they can move Tobias around too because he's, he could play the 4, but I think he played the 3 and the 2 if given the opportunity. So they have some versatility in that lineup to move around. Jimmy could go to the 3, Tobias go to 2. It could, and then find a way to give Embiid the ball the way he wants the ball. But I think it was a good move.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this team is and I was talking about it with Micah on Thursday is the hierarchy. Like, can Embiid accept his role, and also can Butler accept his new role? And obviously, Simmons not being able to shoot is something that's just is kind of been accepted. But with how much shooting they have around them, like that also, I don't think it probably is not gonna matter as much for this run. But how much do you see like the hierarchy of the original big three and Embiid, Butler, and Simmons kind of, if both can, if like how much confidence you have in all three kind of just playing in their designed roles and not clashing as we've kind of seen in at some points this season?
I'm worried about it, Embiid mostly, and I think we talked about it as well in previous podcasts, that I'm afraid that Joel can't adapt or won't willing to adapt to being the type of player that they need him to be. I always reference Chris Bosh when he was the guy at Toronto before he went to Miami. He was more of a position guy. He played decent defense, just shoot a 3 every now and again with a pick and roll, but he kind of was not that guy anymore. LeBron was the man. Wade was Flash still, and Bosh was just the tarantula, or whatever you want to call him, the raptor, whatever you look like, a dinosaur. But I'm afraid that Joel Embiid won't be able to adapt. But I think Butler has been doing well and trying to find what role he is or what role he needs to play with the 76ers, because he picks up the slack for Ben, to be honest. Because I just wish Ben, just like, remember we talked about Markelle Fultz, and he hasn't been talked about in a long, long time, about if he can find a shot, he'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
If Ben can find his shot,
same with Ben.
Yeah, I don't know where his shot went. Maybe he's on vacation. Maybe he just never had it. He needs to find it. He needs to find it, man, because if he had a shot, just think about the damage he can do at the point guard position. Now they're afraid of you.
I'm really trying to think, how much did he shoot in LSU? Like
much.
Yeah, it's really we've really like never seen him.
He put the ball down. I like it, but now I feel like I'm being a hypocrite. I'm not. I'm just saying, like, if he had a shot, he could do so much damage because people will fear him. I think that's why the Warriors are so good, because Steph can shoot and he can put the ball down when he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that creates so many lanes for you at the point guard position. That's why I think LeBron James loved me at the point, because he can pull it up now, but he can, he can vision, he can see, he can open up lanes for everybody. But if Ben had a shot, but the question was, I don't think Joel Embiid will be able to adapt or be willing to adapt to his role. And I don't know what role he is right now. I don't know what role Jimmy is. I don't know if you have a.
This is kind of the confusing thing about this is just like I was asking. It's the design roles. Like it's still kind of up in the air, like what they would do with their crunch time lineup, like who would get the shots. Because in the Boston game, in the Christmas Day game, like it was not really clear. At some point, it was an Embiid three. At some point, it was a Butler isolation type play, and that was really it. And I'm not saying, I mean, Brett Brown's a really good coach, but I think for this postseason, if they have another second round exit, he's probably not going to be probably not going to be back. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because with what they've added, if they don't, especially with bringing in Harris and having as good of a starting lineup as even Golden State, and I'm not saying they're better than Golden State's starting lineup, but talent wise, like it really is as good. And if they just have another second round exit to Boston or Toronto, like a coaching change is probably imminent if that's the outcome.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because the amount of players that they've acquired.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't for a second round exit.
Yeah, for a second round exit, it's going to be like, oh, yeah. All righty then.
Really?
And you're gone. You're going to get Jimmy, you're going to get Tobias. You don't know what to do with Markelle. It's just, you got to figure something out. You get rid of a lot of good players. They got rid of Covington, and I really like Covington. But if they don't figure, like you say, if they don't figure out he's steroid, you're out of it. You're out of it. I mean, that's what it is. But no, I just, if it's gonna work, everybody has to buy in. And I don't know if you saw when Gary Payton was on the Herd, which I do not like him. I don't like Cowell, whatever.
Colin Coward.
What he said about Sean Taylor in the midst before he was big time.
Yeah.
Gary Payton said that when he was on Miami, they had a meeting. They had a meeting where they was like, okay, this is what you do. He was pointing out everybody like, this is your role. This is your role. This is my role. This is your role. Shaq is going to get us out of some situations, but Dwayne Wade is going to get us into some situations, get us to the promised land. That's what they did. If somebody on that team can pull out meeting and say, all right, look, this is our roles. This is your role. This is your role. We have to buy into it. Who's going to be – and I'll ask you this question, Wellington. Mm-hmm. Who do you want the number one guy to be? Who you want the ball to go to? With this new lineup with Embiid? Without even hesitation.
Embiid.
Okay.
I mean, do you mean like who the offenses run through, or yes. Okay, yeah. To me, like that's the best case scenario.
So you want Embiid to be the guy and the guy who to finish the games when the big time comes.
I didn't say finish the game.
Well, that's what it's got to lead to.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'll take that though. You want so they need to call a team meeting.
But for big time shots, like 7 seconds or less, Butler.
Okay. So the finisher. So
the closer is Butler. The closer has to be Butler.
Because Embiid definitely going to get his. Embiid's going to get you out of some situations. He's going to get
run the offense through Embiid and let Butler close.
Okay. So they need to have a meeting, and they need to get this down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know JJ knows his role. Ben knows his role. We got to figure out what Tobias Harris's role is. Yeah. But they have to understand that not everybody's going to be the man. And everybody have to pick a role and stick with that role. And if you have to do that, you can win championships. That's why the Warriors are so good. They pick the role, they stick to it.
And the year after Steph won his back-to-back MVP, he was just willing to acquiesce to KD their first finals with them, and it was a seamless transition.
Yep. He said, "Look, man, I don't care if I score 30 points, whatever. At the end of the day, if we're holding up the trophy, then we all win." They don't care about accolades. And that's the mindset that they built because all those players, like we said, they built it from ground up. They didn't go and acquire players. They got players in the draft, got a good scheme, got a good coach in there. Well, Mark kind of started all of that, to be honest. I don't think he gives enough praise. The man that says, Mama, there goes that money. He started all of that. He started all that, the goodness, greatness that came from the Warriors. He doesn't give enough praise, but
Yeah.
buy into it. Come on,
Yeah.
76ers. When is the process going to be over?
Is this the end of the process?
No. No, because they're not going to buy in.
Yeah.
And I think those are
So pretty much you still foresee a second round exit.
oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. They don't know how to play. They don't know how to play together. They want
That's the thing that you were just saying what I've been trying to just like point out about this team. I still feel like they don't know how to play with each other.
nope. And before they got rid of all those guys to get Jimmy Butler and everybody else, they still didn't know how to play together. They don't know how to play. They don't have that chemistry. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the B, maybe it's Ben. I don't know what it's the front office. I don't know what they're doing because
maybe
last
they should have made that amazing offer I was talking about, Simmons for Anthony Davis. Then the process really would weaken.
nah, the amount of people that they wanted for Davis,
Yeah, no.
they probably have to get the whole starting five.
Wells Fargo's.
Everything must go. But no, I mean, yeah, they don't know how to play together. They don't have any chemistry. I don't know what it is. They still haven't figured out. The year before, before Embiid got hurt, they were on it.
Yeah, 16-game winning streak.
Yeah, they were on it. Everybody said, "Oh, maybe the process is over," but then things happen, and then it's hard to repeat that type of chemistry, repeat that type of play. So yeah, they still don't know how to play together. Even with Jimmy, they still don't know how to play together. We gotta figure it out.
Transitioning to the Pelicans and them not trading Davis. This was a situation where Davis. Now, did you think the trade was going to happen? Like once he made the announcement that look, I don't plan on resigning.
Yes, I did. Yeah. And I knew the Lakers were going to jump on it.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
But I mean, this whole thing, with the offer that the Lakers made, and then them pulling out like, okay, this is an unreasonable offer. We're not going to give up 6 to 8 first and second round picks. Just for obviously like an amazing marquee player, but this is still too much to give up. And now the Pelicans 25 and 32, 6 games out of the playoff race, and honestly to keep Davis's value high and get a better lottery pick. The best thing would probably do to rest him, but Davis wants to play. The league office, threatened to fine them 100 grand if they rested Davis when he's healthy. And now they're in this, precarious situation, and the Lakers aren't able to get him. But what are your thoughts just overall in terms of what it means now and also for the summer in terms of, who's the front runner to get him?
Well, I think they wanted too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't blame them. I don't blame them for asking for that because that is a game changer type player that's going to lead that organization sooner or later, probably sooner. And you want, if you take the most pivotal part of your offense and your defense out, you want to replace those with some situational players and players that they can come in and make an immediate impact. But 5-6 players from the Lakers and 3 first-round picks? Yeah. Are you insane? I think they were trying to get the trade where Shaq and Chris Webber, the guy got No, it wasn't. It was Chris Webber and Penny Hardaway.
Yep.
And the GM got like 5 first-round picks or something like that out of the yin yang, and then got Penny Hardaway. I think it was trying to emulate that, but I don't know. That was crazy. They wanted Kuzma, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Caldwell Pope, Zubiak. Like they wanted everybody. They were cleaning
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it was insane. But now I think AD understands he's probably in a similar situation that the Claw was in when he was with the Spurs. So he just has to wait it out. I don't think a trade will happen. He's probably just have to wait out his contract and then move after that. But I think Lakers can be able to be in a better situation to get him and then get another player too because
I don't
if
think
he
they're going to get
keeps,
him.
they're not going to get him. Why do you think that?
Honestly, the Celtics offer is probably going to trump anything that they can put up. If they're like, hey, we'll give you Jason Tatum, you know, 2 picks that we have, Marcus Smart, add in Rozier. Like, who is not going to want Jason Tatum? And the stash of future draft picks that the Celtics have, because this is what they've been, you know, building up for years, is to get Davis. And I'm not saying it's a guarantee that he's going to stay there, but let's just say, playing devil's advocate, Kyrie stays there, and you know they get to the finals, and he's like, hey, I want to stick around. You know, these are the types of things where having another team that has accumulated so many draft picks and has so much trade capital as the Celtics do with the young marquee players that they have, I just kind of feel like that would at least trump the Lakers offer for this offseason. And I'm not saying Davis can't get there in 2020, but I think like for this summer, the Celtics have probably the best chance of getting him.
And I understand that, but then you're gonna get rid of everybody because Kyrie is up in the air. Then you'll get rid of what? Tatum, Rozier, and Brown, and then possibly Marcus Smart in a first round pick because they're gonna want a lot. If they were asking for that from the Lakers, what makes you think they're not gonna ask that from the Celtics, who have even more at their disposal?
Yeah, but don't you think Jason Tatum is like that? Like they would be like, okay, yeah, deal. Like, I mean, that's the type of player that they would do that for. And the Celtics have so many draft picks, but I understand what you mean by, if they gave up Tatum and Brown, the Celtics would be, even though they'd be getting Davis, they would be giving up a lot. Hello?
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Uh,
my bad.
I don't know if I don't know if they just did that because of what the Lakers did, or
Yeah.
just because they didn't want AD to go to the Lakers and ask for that much, and that might be the case
Mm-hmm.
with the Celtics. But just given the facts of what they did previously, I think they will ask for more. They'll ask for Jason Tatum. They'll ask for Brown. They'll probably ask for Smart because they're missing that defensive player, that grit player on their basketball squad. And then they will probably have to give away. Well, they probably give AD and another player away, but then get some draft picks in the bowl. But we don't know. We don't know. I think
So you
they
still
won't.
think he's going to LA?
I think he can is a possibility. I'm going to LA. I think it's 75%. I love 75% today, just because I think they stopped all trade talks after the Lakers. They didn't take any more trade talks with nobody. So now they're trying to build up him even more, talking about AD, to get more out of teams. But if he plays through his contract, then they're going to be out there and they don't get nothing. And I think that's what's going to happen. And he's going to be able to go to what team he wants to go to. Because he has, one more year after this contract, right?
Yeah.
2020, right?
Yep.
One more year.
2020, he'll be, he can go wherever he wants.
Everyone wants. I don't think maybe they get a trade this summer, or maybe something in the next trade deadline, or somebody goes after him. But I think they wait it out.
Yeah.
They could get some draft lottery. It's gonna be some decent lottery picks this year coming out. Most definitely, it's gonna be a lot of guys coming out they can grab and to add to AD and maybe change AD's mind. Who knows? It'd be like Paul George changing his mind about leaving OKC.
OKC, yeah.
Becoming great friends with Russell Westbrook, which is kind of bizarre, but I digress.
Yeah, and with the Lakers, like the thing with me is this summer they may have to settle for going after B level players instead of A level because it's not likely that they'll get Kawhi, KD, or Anthony Davis. I mean, for this particular year. But if
Yeah.
they and this is my proposal. Let's say they get a Chris Middleton and trade for a Bradley Beal. Like what would you think about a team like that in LeBron's second
I
year?
like that. I like that. Chris Middleton can actually shoot the basketball
Yeah,
and play defense
and you need
with
shooters around LeBron.
LeBron. And then Bradley Beal is a streaky guy too, who can also play defense.
Yeah,
I like that. But there are a lot of guys going to be gone too. Pope is up.
right.
Uh, Stevenson's up. Rondo's up. McGee's up. Chandler's up. Who else? It's two other guys' contracts up. I can't think of right now, but they have 5 guys. I don't know if they're going to resign, but they're going to have to replace those guys with B-level players and go to the lottery. But I like those 2 guys with LeBron James. Those are guys I think he can work with.
Yeah,
That's a great proposal, Wellington. You need a
I
general
was
manager,
just
man.
thinking. I was just
And
because
those
Chris
guys,
Middleton's stock has gone up
yes,
this year, especially being an All-Star.
yes, it has. And Bradley Beal is streakily going up the food chain too. He's not a
Yeah.
he's more like a B minus type player,
Mhm.
B minus type player. But he's like that type of guy like Otto Porter that's
Yeah.
really slept on, but is very valuable.
Yeah.
And Tobias Harris was in that. I'm sorry, and Tobias Harris was also in that type of that realm, but he's coming to stardom now. He's getting sprung into the stardom realm, especially with the 76ers.
Yeah. And before we move on to our last topic, with the Lakers currently, um, you know, still, I believe 4 games out of the eighth spot, they lost tonight, and this is a somebody with from an article I was reading was saying that they wouldn't be surprised like if you told them, hey, LeBron, he's gonna make it to the postseason this year as like a 7th or maybe a 6th or 7th seed, get them to the Western Conference Finals. He said, I wouldn't be shocked by that because of look at the other teams he's carried to the conference finals. Obviously, this is a different conference and the teams are much tougher. But in terms of this year and them still kind of being in a the young stars here, their young marquee players being in the draft in the trade talks for a lot. They lost by 42 to Indy like the day after those trade talks were canceled, and now this is a team where if LeBron can stay healthy for the rest of the season, they'll still have a great chance to make it in. But at some point, they have to turn it around and look like a capable, competent team in the West. So kind of how confident are you in their and the fact that they can kind of turn this around? Because obviously, like, LeBron's been in the playoffs for last 13, 14 years, and this Lakers team, even though they haven't gotten the second marquee star, a postseason berth would be expected.
Yeah. If LeBron James and the Lakers don't make it to the playoffs, I would not be shocked either.
Yeah.
Because these guys don't know how to play with LeBron James. Not all the guys. Rondo knows how to play. Knows how to play. Sorry,
Mhm.
with LeBron, and I think McGee does too. But Brandon Ingram, he's a different player with LeBron not on the court. He showed a couple games. He was more aggressive. He was passing better. He was more strategic and moved fluently on the basketball court when LeBron was not there. Now it's back to the normal Brandon Ingram shell shot. And I don't know if he feels like that's the type of role he has to play, but I'd rather you go all out and unleash yourself. And I'm pretty sure you're not going to get yelled at because Luke is not coaching anyways. But I don't know. These guys don't know how to play with LeBron James, or then I just don't. I don't know. Lonzo's playing a little better, but they don't have enough. Just looking at their bench, looking at the type of players, I thought Hart was going to be a better player. He's going to
Yeah.
be more of a streaky shooter for them and a consistent shooter for them, but he's not panning out. McGee is surprisingly doing good.
Yeah.
That's what I'm biggest about. I like McGee. I like McGee before, but when he was in a dunk contest and all that stuff, he was a good big man. He's showing that he can play, but they don't have enough. They don't have enough grit. Caldwell Pope, if he could just, they have the players, Wellington.
Yeah.
They have the players.
They absolutely do.
And
Like
it's not
this was a team in December that was like fourth in the West, and it just beating the Warriors.
exactly without LeBron James a full half.
Yeah.
I don't know if they play. It seems like the games he was out, they lost, but they were close. But they look like they played better with LeBron off the court. That's just my bet. I watched the game. Caldwell Pope was hitting shots. Brandon Ingram, I forgot what game that was. I think it was against the Warriors. They pulled away. It was against the Warriors. They pulled away. Warriors pulled away at the end, but they led. They in the third quarter they led a little bit. Rondo looked good. He was doing Rondo.
Yeah, KCP was really good too in that
Yeah.
in that one.
Oh yeah. The big guy, the big man.
Zubac.
Zubac. Yeah, he was really really good. I liked him in there. He showed me a little bit, but Brandon Ingram looked better. He still looked kind of, not sluggish, but kind of
Tentative.
Yeah, without shooting until he was forced to shoot, and some of those shots were darn near perfect shots, especially when he backed up and it gave him KD a little shimmy, and then faded away and made the shot with ease.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just they don't have the confidence. They don't know how to play. I don't know if they know how to play LeBron James, but if they don't make the playoffs, I'm not surprised.
and that's kind of the surprising thing. Like I don't think we'd ever thought we'd say that about a LeBron-led team, is that we wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs. Do you think Luke Walton stays the entire year?
No. Entire year, yes. He's gone after this year, most definitely.
I think so too.
Because if you didn't talk to LeBron James before he even came over, you don't have any say-so in that organization.
Yeah. Transitioning to the Celtics, they lost to the Clippers Saturday. Thursday they lost to the Lakers, and the Clippers, they had a 25-point lead. Kyrie went out with an injury, and they're currently leading the Sixers right now with 4 minutes left. But ever since that interview where Kyrie said, I'm going to do what's best for me. I don't really owe anybody anything. I just have to do what's best for me and my family. And, just talk to me July 1 about when he was asked the free agency question. Things have been up in the air. There's been increased speculation, especially with the Knicks and the possibility of KD and getting Zion in the draft. All those possibilities are up. And the Celtics, they've looked really good at times, and other times, they have the 25-point blown lead type game, and there's been a lot of variance. And to me, Gordon Hayward is still the X factor. If Gordon Hayward can look like the guy from Utah, this is a team that can definitely get to the finals. But if he's still up in the air, that's something that's going to be a huge part in the test case. But kind of a two-part question. What are your thoughts on Kyrie's future there, and also what do you make of the Celtics kind of up and down play this year?
Well, I'll attack the second question first and then hit back the first one. We talked about this throughout the summer, throughout the year last year, that the Celtics on paper is the best team in the East and possibly in the West, in the entire NBA on paper. But the one thing we said that they were going to have trouble with is how to play together, gel together, and who's going to be on the court and have the lineup. And it's showing. The turmoil is showing. Kyrie's upset. He's irritated. Now he understands what LeBron James was talking about or doing with the Cavaliers. Now you're seeing all these odd players, not team players. What we did without you, we don't need you. I'm pretty sure that came up a couple of times in the locker room, or maybe had some confrontational conversations, not any of the fisticuffs, but those conversations are had. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But that's the most demeaning thing to a basketball team is you can't play together, have all this talent for no reason. So we're seeing that, and Kyrie's finally kind of opening up about it. Hayward's not going to say much. Tatum's not going to say much, but if they don't figure out how to play, I think Kyrie is gone after this year, anyways. Is when his free agency is up. I think Kyrie leaves.
You don't think he's coming back?
I don't think he comes back because I think he's fed up. I think he's fed up, to be honest, with just the play of other players, the young players, and the identity of the team now. Now, if they weren't as successful without Kyrie or Hayward, then I think the narrative would be different. But now they had success, almost went to the finals without their best player. Then it's like it's like a new kind of, not an arrogance, but a new confidence for the young players. Like, yo, we don't need you. You can leave. We're going to be straight without you. And I think that's the case, too, because they have that great talent with Rozier, Tatum, and Brown. But I think Kyrie leaves, definitely.
Because I was talking to a Celtics fan about this last week, and they were saying, you know what? Honestly, like, I'd just be cool if Kyrie was gone and we got Anthony Davis this summer, and that's interesting because Kyrie obviously is one of the best offensive players in the league, but also they know that they can get far even without him.
True, and that's the scary part. I think that's what scares. I don't want to say scares, but intimidates Kyrie because they're straight without me. They don't really need me, but with me, we're better as a team. Excuse me, but I think he leaves. It's two destinations I think he's willing to go. To the Knicks, as you said, and then to the LA, to the Lakers.
Wow. Yeah.
He's showing interest to want to play with LeBron James again. And I think he was at his best with LeBron James. I think he knows that. He was literally at his best. Without even knowing it, in hindsight, with LeBron James playing with LeBron. He didn't get all the limelight. He didn't get all the praise. But the moments that were created for Kyrie were his best moments with LeBron James.
So just 2 years in Boston. Only 2 years in Boston, huh?
2 years in Boston. Didn't play 2 full years. Well, this year he's playing a full year. Gets hurt. He was hurt a couple times. They missed him in the NBA Finals when he went out the first game. I think they would have definitely won that series too if he never went out. But
I feel like we should have envisioned this because we were so high on the Celtics, like they could do no wrong. They were just gonna steamroll the East, and this is what happens when you have an embarrassment of riches, not in a bad sense, but you just have like one of the deepest roster, probably the deepest roster in the league, and now on paper it looks great, but just putting them together, like that's where the cookie crumbles.
The hardest thing to do. It's like putting together a team of replacement players you've never met before. But I think if you take Hayward out and you take, Kyrie out, I think the chemistry is there.
Yeah,
you just don't have chemistry with the guys who are supposed to be the face of the organization.
But before we close, in terms of the teams in the East, that because the teams in the teams in the top tier of the East, they really made impact trades. I mean, Toronto gets Gasol, Milwaukee gets Milwaukee gets Mirotic, and obviously we talked about what Philly did, but out of what those three teams did, which one are you most confident in possibly making a finals run?
I like Milwaukee still, man.
Yeah,
I like Milwaukee. And did you see Giannis airball that 3-pointer?
Is that your MVP? Is that your king?
Yes. Is that your king? He's I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know about MVP because James Harden.
You saw Harden, right?
The case.
Because Micah told me to knock it off when I said James Harden.
Who did he have as
Giannis, and he said he'd be furious if he didn't win.
I would probably pick James Harden just because he's having a phenomenal
36 points average. Yeah.
He does that every single year.
Yeah.
Every single year, consistently.
30 straight 30-point games. Come on.
That's MVP caliber, and he's dropping dimes too.
Yeah.
He's averaging 7 to 8 assists a game. But he has some steals too, but that doesn't even remotely come close to shining what his defense really is. Every time I see a steal or his stat sheet, I'm like, just erase that.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. He doesn't really play defense. But no, yeah, I still
But you would
have
say Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee, most definitely Milwaukee. I love the way they're playing. I love the way, man. Chris, if you got it in my head, Chris going to the Lakers.
Planted that seed.
What? That'll be insanely good right off the
Yeah.
bat. He reminds me of Paul George, like an off-brand Paul George, but taller.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm taking more. Who you got?
I would say Milwaukee.
Okay.
The
Great minds think alike, man.
Even though I just can't get over Toronto's history. I mean, it's just still hard for me to. What?
I say even with the claw.
I mean, Kawhi is a player that I trust, but outside of that, Kyle Lowry has been up and down.
Yeah, okay.
Serge Ibaka's been good, but at the same time, like Pascal Siakam he hasn't been in moments, probably in moments like this before. OG Anunoby, he got that type of experience, but the last year I kind of like scoffed at and said, "Nah, like this is a different team." I just can't do that this year, and it may come back to Hami, but at some point, like that history does play a factor, and with Philly, the hierarchy to me just to me skill hasn't meshed yet. I mean, they're obviously really good, but can they, can everybody, their top three accept their design rules?
Right, and I agree. One more question before you end it. Do you think Marc Gasol can help change or assist of adding that extra flavor they need for their plain potato chips?
Yeah, I mean, he's a really good playmaker as a big. One of the best playmaking bigs, we've had in the past like 5 to 7 years, and even though Ibaka probably will be moved back to power forward because he was like they played him a lot at center, and that's where Nick Nurse thought he would flourish, and he showed that. When you have a guy like Gasol who's that experienced, that good of a playmaker, that's a plus. But my thing is, can he keep up with the speedier bigs? Because Gasol, you know what I mean? Because Gasol has had those injury issues and has, lagged compared to dealing with the speedier bigs of today's league. And that's where in a playoff series where it can pick up, like, and it's not just Toronto's past, it's also things like that. The matchup issues with some of their bigs.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. Good answer.
Family Feud. Good answer. Good answer.
Good answer. Okay.
Well, that wraps it up for tonight. I'm your host, Juanza Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. This has been Full Scope. See you later.